BioNTech.
When you can't stop, there's Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub sends powerful medicated Vicks vapors right to the source of your... so you can experience cough relief and breathe easier. Generations of families have trusted Vicks VapoRub to help relieve the worst cold symptoms. So next time you have a cough, reach for the Vicks VapoRub. Vicks VapoRub. Cough relieving is believing.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. An Odyssey station. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
Oh, yes. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is hump day. It is Wednesday. If you're just getting off work, just getting ready for work, getting ready for school, just getting ready to do whatever. Maybe you didn't sleep last night. Maybe you're an early riser, getting ready to go on your run. Be safe out there. A little windy. A little rain yesterday in some parts. A little sprinkle on my car. I got out of the Safeway. I was getting some grocery shopping done. I was like, what the hell just happened? I'm done with rain for the rest of the year. I'm done with it. But listen, I know we need it, but I don't want any more of it, even if it's just a little bit. I'm rained out. The Warriors, they're rained out. And the All-Star break could not have come at a better time for them as they fall to the Los Angeles Clippers at the Crypt. Is it the Crypto? Whatever you want to call it. 134 to 124. Warriors 29-29. Just a perfect, what's the word I'm looking for? Personification of what they are, if you will. They're average. They're an average team. This is the record that they deserve. They're 7-22 on the road. They're a horrible road team and a damn good home team. And I think 29-29 is pretty symbolic of what kind of team they are. Not terrible. They're just not great. They're just meh. Kind of saw why last night. Obviously, no Steph Curry. No Andrew Wiggins was out. Personal reasons. So you had a good fighting chance early on. Hey, you had the halftime lead. You felt good about what you were doing in that second quarter. 42 points in that second quarter. Jordan Poole, he was on fire. Klay Thompson, shooting efficiently. Draymond, 15 points for Draymond? You kidding me? 6 of 6? This would be a career game for him. Didn't even miss. But third quarter explosion from Kawhi, Norman Powell, Paul George, and that was all she wrote. They had a double-digit lead heading into the fourth, and they did not look back as the Los Angeles Clippers improved to 32-28, and they are now 15-13 at home. Nice to see some good things. It was good to see Jonathan Kuminga getting a lot of minutes, 22 minutes for him, 16 points. Everyone on the bench for the Warriors, it was a pretty good night. Other than JaMychal Green, everyone was in the plus category, in the plus-minus. You had Kuminga at a +2, Anthony Lamb at a +3, PBJ, Patrick Walton Jr. at a +6, Ty Jerome at +2, and Moses Moody even getting a +8 there. So some good things in a loss that was, listen, after Andrew Wiggins was out, and it was listed out a couple hours before the game due to personal reasons, you kind of knew like this, okay, well, let's see what we got here. Maybe we'll just win. It's this kind of a weird Warriors season. Maybe we end up winning this game, right? Well, they had a good shot at it in that first half, but the cream always rises when it comes to guys like Kawhi Leonard, who has seemingly just owned the Warriors throughout his whole career. Paul George, he adds in another 20. And again, Norman Powell off the bench, 10-17, 3 of 5 from three-point land, 24 points for him. And that was pretty much all she wrote. Those three guys combining for 77 points. And that was kind of the difference in the game. The stars hit their shots. Sometimes you just tip your cap. Kawhi Leonard, he's a generational talent. It's good to see him finally healthy, because for a while there, it was just like, is Kawhi ever going to play a meaningful game for the Los Angeles Clippers? Yeah, I know he played some in the bubble, but is he going to play after that? The injuries, it's like you never see him around. Paul George, he's kind of the face. So that's a team, again, you know how I feel about the Los Angeles Clippers, and I believe they are fraudulent when push comes to shove. I need to see it first. But last night, that kind of performance showed you why, at least for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, it can work. Will it? That remains to be seen. But nonetheless, Clippers come home with the dub. Warriors, they're left licking their wounds heading into the All-Star break at 29-29. 888-957-9570. 888-957-9570. Where are you at, Warriors? Warrior fans, they are at the All-Star break now. How would you grade this first part of the season? Your biggest concern heading out of the All-Star break? Do you still have faith in this team that they will get it done? Do you still have faith? I know yesterday on the morning roast, it was a big, what's been the most frustrating part of this season. And I think we just saw it last night. It's just the inconsistencies. It's the inconsistencies in the lineup. It's the inconsistencies. Say that 10 times fast. It's the inconsistencies with the players and their willingness to compete on a night in and night out basis. It's the sloppiness, the carelessness, we're champs. Just get us to the playoffs. We'll be fine. Well, get to the freaking playoffs first, right? So I think there was a lot of frustration boiling over, and an all-star break is sorely needed, not only for the players, but I think for the fan base too. Here's Steve Kerr on how he feels about their current record and where they stand.
It's where we've been for the year so far. We've been up and down and right in the middle of the pack on offense, right in the middle of the pack on defense. And I think we feel like could be better. We've lost a lot of games that we felt like we should have won, but we didn't win them. So we are where we are. And good news is there's a lot ahead of us. I think this week off will be great for our guys. And hopefully we can come back from the break refreshed and make a push.
Good morning to YouTube. Ernie Chavez, my guy. Good morning, Spadonuts. Appreciate you. NBA 876 on the YouTube chat. Warriors got to get it together, man. The only reason Warriors are losing it is because of their defense. Warriors is better than all teams. They have to play defense. Once they do that no teams are beating them. Okay. First off, I'm not going to go grammar police because I understand it's YouTube. That was a tough one at NBA 876 trying to decipher what you're trying to say, but I think I got the gist of it. They need to play better defense. Yes. But I'm not going to be too hard on them last night because Andrew Wiggins, probably your second best defender outside of Draymond Green, was out last night. So that was tough already. And especially when you're going up against bigs that Andrew Wiggins is needing to guard, and Paul George and Andrew Wiggins and Norman Powell, like those guys, it's tough. That's tough. It's a tough assignment for Klay Thompson, a guy that's already, laterally, his movement's slowly and has finally come back. It's never going to be the same as it was, but he's still a plus defender most nights, but that's a tough ask going up against Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. Draymond Green has to do a lot there. He had a hell of a game, Draymond, 15, 5, 7. So he had a good performance, but again, the offensive firepower and output just wasn't there from the starters last night, other than Jordan Poole at the 28. You needed more from Klay on the offensive end. DiVincenzo added in 10. Loon Dog with a double-double, 11 points, 14 boards for him. But the lack of size at times when you're going up against big dudes and big forwards like a Kawhi Leonard and a Paul George, it's tough. But you know what? That's what it's going to take in the playoffs. Like, these are the guys you're going to go up against. And to NBA 876's point on the YouTube chat, the defense is a problem. And that's not something that just gets fixed overnight. That's something that doesn't get turned on in the playoffs. That just doesn't happen. Here's Steve Kerr on the defensive performance last night.
For whatever reason, we've been pretty good at home defensively. Not last night, but overall pretty good at home. One of the reasons we made the trade for Gary was to shore up our perimeter defense. We were the number 2 ranked defense in the league a year ago. So I think we have it in us, and hopefully we can get healthy. And we got a lot of guys who are starting to play well. Clay's been really good. Wiggs is really coming on. Dante's had a great second half of the season. So I think there's a lot of positives and a lot of things that we can build on, but we have to do it. We got to go do it.
So if you're banking on Gary Payton II to come back and make this an elite defensive team, I'm just not seeing that. First off, he's going to be reevaluated in a month. That was per Bob Myers in his press conference a couple days. So he'll be reevaluated in a month. Okay. And then after that, if he's still not okay, then you're looking at probably another couple weeks until another reevaluation. And then you're still looking at him doing on-court activity. See where I'm going here? It's going to be a long freaking time. And by the time he's back on the court, he needs to get back up to snuff with stuff. I understand it's been less than a year, or it'll be almost a year at that point from playing with all these guys on the court again. But if you're banking on Gary Payton II to revitalize this whole unit when it comes to defense, I'm not seeing it. Sure, he could help. Absolutely. But I'm not banking on this team just all of a sudden, you know what? Gary Payton II was the missing link to all of this on defense. We're fine now. I'm not seeing it. At least not this season. I don't see him coming in and kind of saving the day, being Superman or Batman. By the way, shout out Michael Keaton. Apparently he's returning as Batman. He's the one true GOAT, by the way. I love Christian Bale, but I grew up on those Batman movies. Batman with the Joker as Jack Nicholson and Danny DeVito Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. Oh, man. Huge crush on Michelle Pfeiffer. And then Christopher Walken all time as, what was the guy's name? Shrek or whatever. Just a horrible con man business guy. He was one of the funniest scenes and characters he's ever been a part of in that movie. Bruce Wayne, why are you dressed up like Batman? I digress. Here's more from Steve Kerr on the improvements from Jordan Poole and his learning experiences thus far this season.
When he's locked in, he can be very good defensively. And for the most part, he's been good. I think he has a tendency, like a lot of players, to lose a little focus from time to time. But he's getting better. And when he's really taking on the challenge, when people are putting him in pick and roll, he's strong, he's athletic, he can do the job. And so this is all a great learning experience for him.
Great learning experience, yes, but we're going to need the consistency as well. He's been playing better offensively, Jordan Poole, that is, as of late. But three-point stroke wasn't there last night. Overall, 10 to 20 efficiency, 50%, so you'll take that. Got to the rim, definitely. 5 of 6 from the free throw line. 6 assists. I like seeing the assist numbers go up with Jordan Poole. That's the important part. If he can consistently get that +5 in the assist category nightly, that'd be huge for this team. Getting everyone else involved. I like seeing Dante DiVincenzo, the last few weeks, he's been not the MVP, but he's been the most consistent player probably by far on the Warriors. Now, he's not asked to do as much, and he was a starter last night, playing 29 minutes. But I like the scrappiness on defense. I like the consistency on the three-point arc, and he credits that to a minor adjustment he made on his shooting hand and his motion, his follow-through. So, DiVincenzo, keep doing what you're doing, man. That guy's been balling, but he's Italian. Of course he's balling. He's Italian stallion. Come on now. It's Dante's Inferno. Here's more from Steve Kerr about what gives him hope that they can turn this all around this season.
Well, I think the fact that we've lost so many games that we felt like we should have won, we know we're right there. Tonight, I thought the Clippers just outplayed us. They were great in the second half, and they deserved it. All in all, we're where we are, but we've lost a number of close games, just things we've got to clean up and tighten up. As I said, I think our bench is playing much better than it was early in the season when we got off to the slow start. Our starters are now picking it up. Wiggs and Clay, Loon's like just a rock every single night. Draymond's playing well. So again, we can stay the course and get Steph back and hopefully get Gary. We got reinforcements coming and we got a lot to look forward to.
Got a lot to look forward to, a.k.a. the All-Star break, which they desperately needed. And by the way, that Steve Kerr will be joining Damon and Ratto today at 5 o'clock. Be sure to tune into that. Cannot wait to listen to Steve Kerr. He's always a good listen, no matter what. Him and Bob Myers probably are the most articulate in their thoughts. I would love to see an in-studio interview a la a Tim Kawakami one of these days for Steve Kerr coming in or Bob Myers, but they've got much more important things to do than come into our studio. They're trying to win a freaking championship again this year, and through that whole Gary Payton II mess, that's finally seemingly come to an end there now that everything's finalized as far as the players going to their respective teams. Now, it's not done yet regarding the Warriors and their inquiry into the league, their filing of a grievance, if you will. And Bobby Marks, who is the NBA ESPN front office insider, he was a former GM. He knows his stuff. Very smart, very articulate. Bobby Marks joined Damon Rattle last night, and he talked about what the NBA fine for the Blazers might be and how it affects the Golden State Warriors.
At the end of the day, you'll probably see some type of fine. Maybe Golden State's awarded a second-round pick out of this. Maybe they get two. We saw it way back when, and Jeff Green had gotten traded from Oklahoma City to Boston. This was, I think, 2011, 2012, and there was, a heart issue, and, wasn't disclosed, or, where the Thunder doctors did not detect it, and it came up in the Celtics physical with him, and Boston was able to get a second-round pick out of it. I think that's what you're going to do. Portland will argue, hey, wait a minute, this guy was healthy. We traded him, saw him, the day before here, and Golden State will argue, yeah, he was healthy, and the only reason why he was healthy because he was basically on painkillers to kind of mask the injury. And that part wasn't disclosed. You have to disclose everything. I've been on so many trade calls. If a guy had a sprained ankle a year ago, you're disclosing it. If a guy's on type of medication, you're disclosing it. You just kind of have to cover all your bases.
I think you would take that if you're Golden State Warriors front office, Bob Myers, Steve Kerr's like, okay, second round pick, and then you're probably never dealing with that particular front office in Portland anyways, ever again, just given the trust and lack thereof heading forward. But again, kind of a mess, this whole Gary Payton II thing, and you heard Steve Kerr earlier saying they're banking on him helping this defensive unit mightily heading down the stretch. It's hard for me to sit here and expect Gary Payton II with all these injuries, especially a core injury and how serious that can be, and expect this guy who hasn't played with this team all season long to just come right back in and everything's fine. And a team that defensively has struggled all season long is suddenly just going to get better. Maybe? Sure. Anything's possible. Shout out Kevin Garnett, but I'm not seeing that. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570, Xfinity mobile text line, Twitch, YouTube. Hello. Hit me up on Twitter at Spadoni_Joe. This is the pregame show from the 408 on the Xfinity mobile text line. Warriors need to visit Space Jam and find Michael's secret stuff during the All-Star break. That would help. That would help. And Michael's secret stuff was just a placebo anyway, so whatever kind of meditation, do they need to go in a dark room a la Aaron Rodgers for 4 days and just contemplate life and existence? Do they need to go take some ayahuasca down in Peru? By the way, I found all the old Anthony Bourdain No Reservations on Travel Channel Go. Oh, beautiful. Shout out Xfinity, by the way, on demand. That's where I found it. Anthony Bourdain, RIP, you beautiful man. World is sorely missing you. And No Reservations and Bizarre Foods is what I grew up on as a child. Andrew Zimmern. And just taking me back to my old Xbox 360 days and watching YouTube on there. Back when Netflix is only about, what, $4 a month? And I could share passwords? Yeah, where'd that go? It's like quadrupled since then, but I get it. Supply and demand. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Draymond Green talking after the game. He had a pretty solid performance last night. Didn't miss. It's a good night when you don't miss. Here's him talking about the defense.
Our defense isn't very good. It's kind of been the story all year, and you got to do something to fix it. It has to come from within. Defense is all about a will, a want to defend. Defense isn't fun. Just got to want to do it if you want to win, and we have it.
Draymond doing his best James Earl Jones impression. Shout out Darth Vader there. Sounding like he is on Hoth looking for Luke. Here's more from Draymond Green. Says you can go get defense, but it's not just going to get it.
It's not just going to come. Do I think we're capable of doing it? Yes, but I don't think it's coming. You can go get it, but it's not just coming.
And that's kind of what I was alluding to. You can go add defensive pieces, but just because you do that doesn't mean the defense is all of a sudden just going to get better. You have to want it. Defense is a lot about just wanting to be better. It's why a lot of teams don't do it, because I know it's not the cool thing to do. Trying on defense. You want the highlights, shout out Guru, but the highlights. You want the James Harden step back three. You want the Curry shimmy three, driving to the dish, getting the N1. You want to put people on skates. But you know what? Defense is what wins championships. That's what the Warriors dynasty was actually built on. Yeah, it was 3-point shooting. It was Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and a cloud of dust, and Iguodala off the bench. But it was also defense. It was Iguodala's defense. It was Draymond Green's defense. It was Klay Thompson's two-way play. That's what it was made on. You heard Steve Kerr. They're the number 2 defense last year. It's just not there this year. Here's Draymond if he thinks they have a championship hangover this season.
I don't think it's a championship hangover. It's a will to want to defend. And you're not hungover at 560 games into the season. You're a loser if you're still hungover at that point. So it's no hangover.
You heard it from him. It's no hangover. And here's finally from Draymond what I was just saying. It's all will and effort on defense.
Defense is all 1 to 2 steps extra. I'm going to take that extra step to get there or I'm not. And that's all will. And we don't have that as a team. You can have it as individuals. I can have that myself. Malone can have that. But if you don't collectively have that, it's just like if you put a team together and it's like one guy can really get after it. Nobody else brings anything on that side of the ball. They don't even bring effort. You could put Steph Curry or Kevin Durant or anybody else out there on offense. If no one else is going to want to do the extra things, then it doesn't work. And so you have to do it collectively. And that is a huge responsibility that falls on my shoulders, and I haven't gotten us there.
Well said, Draymond. Must be a pre-gamer. He must join this show every morning at 5 a.m. And shout out all of you who are listening via the Odyssey app. Be sure to download that Odyssey app, favorite 95.7 The Game. We appreciate you here on 95.7 The Game, as Joe Shasky and Alan Stiles will be in at the top of the hour. They'll be breaking down the Los Angeles Clippers defeating the Golden State Warriors. It's the All-Star break. We don't have any really football to talk about. We got off-season, NBA, kind of what are your grades, if you will. What can the Warriors do to make you feel better heading into the play-in or play-offs run? So they're going to be having a lot of fun today as well. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. Again, I mentioned Bobby Marks, NBA front office insider, joined Damon and Ratto yesterday. He had some very interesting thoughts there. And if you missed that interview, you could go ahead and download the Odyssey app like I mentioned. It'll be on there. Search 95.7 The Game, Damon and Ratto. They asked him about James Wiseman and his fit in Detroit. Here's what Bobby Marks had to say.
What does Detroit need 4 centers for, right? Like, you already got Jalen Duren, you've got Isaiah Stewart, Marvin Bagley here, and you're taking a flyer. I mean, that's probably what you're thinking, but what's the body of work you're basing it off of? Is it the 3 or 4 games at the University of Memphis, what you saw in, periodically in Golden State? And for a guy in Saddiq Bey that actually helped you, you rarely see a team trade a wing for a big. That's what Detroit did here. And they're hoping that, I thought Durant's a good player and I thought he's their center of the future here, but I guess they're hoping that, at least in the next, 20, 25 games or maybe even into the summer, they have a better understanding, and it's a low cost option. But as I said, it cost you. It wasn't like you just traded a second and you got him. You traded a good player in Saddiq Bey for him.
Yeah, interesting to see what the Pistons are going to be doing this season. My guess is this is going to be a trial by, combat. Shout out Game of Thrones. But they're just going to be basically putting James out there and see what they got. Like, he just needs to play. See what these guys got. In Detroit, you have nothing to lose. You're in the Wembayama sweepstakes as it is. So Saddiq Bey, if they wasn't playing for the future, but I agree with Bobby Marks, they're kind of weird because he's kind of a plus guy. Right, he shoots the 3 well. He can defend. He's long. Kind of the perfect player in today's NBA. But, hey, they felt like they saw something in James Wiseman enough to trade Saddiq. So they're banking on his development and his success and his future goals. So interesting to see what happens there. And here's more from Bobby talking about the difficulty for a GM and front office admitting defeat on a top draft pick. This is interesting.
the draft is one of the hardest things anybody can do. It's not an exact science. And if James Wiseman didn't go at number 2, he was probably going to go at number 3 or number 4. And there was going to be another general manager that took him here. So I think the one thing that you don't want to do is compound a situation where maybe you think that, there's an upside here and now you're going to sign him to an extension or a long-term contract with the hope that he can evolve into that player. And now you're stuck with a bad deal here. And yeah, no one ever wants to admit that you missed on a top 2 pick, but Bob in the front office is not the first and they're not going to be the last here.
No, they're not, to Bobby's point. And good teams actually admit their mistakes and losses and try to flip that early. That's what you got to do. You can't hang on to it. Bill Walsh, right? His whole mantra was get rid of a player a year or 2 early rather than a year or 2 late. That's what you got to do. That's what the good teams do. That's what the elite teams do. That's what the elite franchises do. Head coaching, front offices, whatever, any sport. They realize a mistake, they fix the mistake and move on. That's what happens. And sometimes you hang on too long and the mistake boils over into contention throughout the players, and then it's a mess with the front office, and everyone's mad and everyone's angry. In order to quell that, just admit your mistake, move on. It just wasn't working here with James Wiseman. Just wasn't going to work for whatever reason. The fit, the player, the injuries, whatever the excuses now. It's off your hands. He's Detroit's problem. I'm not going to say it like that, but I'm saying it like that. He's Detroit's problem now. He's not a headache. He's a good kid. But the Warriors, they don't need a kid. They need someone that's seasoned, and that's why they went to go get Gary Payton II. We're going to take a quick break. Come on back. Derek Carr officially released, and some interesting thoughts and I think revisionist history on how his career went with the Raiders, both in Oakland and Las Vegas. So I want to talk about that. 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. If you would like to get involved, Xfinity Mobile text line, YouTube, Twitch, hello. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. This is the pregame show, Joe Spadoni. Come on back, 95.7 The Game.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Dell Technologies President's Day business event starts now with deals to power America's doers and dreamers. Save on select performance business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for President's Day deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Ever since we got Xfinity Mobile, the whole family now has the fastest mobile service. My little brother has no idea how lucky he is. Back in my day, we didn't have it nearly as good.
Oh yeah? Back in my day, you couldn't even stream outside the house. I don't like to think about it.
Please, back in my day, we had phones with cords, and they were mounted to a wall.
Forget phones. Back in my day, we wrote letters. Remember, Herman?
Oh, I remember.
Vintage texting. Cool.
Switch to Xfinity Mobile, the fastest mobile service with 5G and millions of Wi-Fi hotspots. Get the best price for 2 unlimited lines with 5G compared to the lowest price plans of the top 3 carriers. Just $30 a line per month. Visit Xfinity.com/fastestmobile to learn more.
Wait till you hear about how we rented movies.
I don't think she's ready for that. From Xfinity, home of the 10G network. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Unlimited intro service and Xfinity Internet required. Taxes and fees extra. Reduced fees after 20 gigabytes of usage. Data thresholds may vary.
Golfers, tee it up at the Golf Mart with the new 2023 Aerojet woods and irons from Cobra Golf. The new Aerojet woods are designed with a unique aerodynamic shape that delivers faster clubhead speeds for longer drives. And the new Aerojet irons are made with hot face technology, so every strike delivers more distance. Elevate your game by swinging into the Golf Mart and get custom fit on the new Cobra woods and irons today. The Golf Mart, unmatched expertise, unmatched service.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code KICKOFF at checkout. That's harrys.com, code KICKOFF. Enjoy.
Damon and Ratto get Steve Kerr's reaction to the trade deadline. Today at 5.
One of the keys for us with the deal is that Gary is an easy fit. We just watched him help us win a championship.
Steve Kerr, today at 5 on 95.7 The Game. Now, back to the pregame show on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back. Pregame show, Joe Spadoni on this windy Wednesday here in the Bay Area. Warriors, they fall to the Clippers as they head into the All-Star break at 29-29. And boy, do they need a rest. No Warriors, by the way, participating in the All-Star game. How wild is that? Has that ever happened in the history of defending champions? That no player from the previous championship team is playing for that squad. And I know injuries have to do with it. Steph Curry obviously would if he could. But that's pretty wild. And then they don't do the head coach anymore from the previous championship winning team. So it'll be Mike Malone. It's who is it? The team with the best record in each conference, right? So Mike Malone for the Nuggets and then Joe Mazzulla for the Boston Celtics. So can't wait for that festivities all weekend long. It's in, what, Utah? Yeah. Fun. Nice and cold. Hit the slopes. Not those kind of slopes. Derek Carr. You know him, right? Former Raider quarterback now. Oakland Raider. Last Oakland Raider quarterback to play at the Oakland Coliseum. So I think it pertains today. Just, talk about his career a little bit. Do a little swan song for Derek as he moves on from the organization that, listen, it had its problems throughout his career. You can just count all the head coaches that he had to deal with from start to finish. Dennis Allen, Tony Sparano, Jack Del Rio, John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, Josh McDaniels. That's 6 right there. And offensively, there's a couple different similarities. He had Greg Olson throughout most of his career. And then the whole new system with Josh McDaniels last year, I think just was too much for Derek, at least for that one season. I mean, you saw the last couple games, the command that a Jarrett Stidham had, especially against 49ers at Allegiant Stadium. The command that he had of that offense is something that you were waiting to see all year from Derek. And you saw it in flashes. There were certain games where he looked good, and then just Certain games were just look bad. He got shut out in New Orleans against Dennis Allen. Anytime you get shut out when you have a guy like Javonte Adams and Josh Jacobs, that's not okay. It's just not. And Josh McDaniels, you saw, I think the writing was on the wall. And that Steelers loss in Pittsburgh in the snow on the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Deception. They had that game going on. And Kenny Pickett is the one that outduels you in the end. Ugh. So I think it was time for both the franchise and Derek Carr to move on. And listen, if you're a Derek Carr truther, if you will, if you think that this guy can win you a Super Bowl, by all means. I was listening to Damon and Ratto yesterday. Again, I was listening to them a long time. And I was stuck in the car. There was an accident. So, I like to tune in to what the other shows are doing. Sometimes I've got the opportunity to. So it was nice to listen to Damon and Ray yesterday. They had a really good show. And they were talking about Derek and how the Raiders failed him. I was like, okay. Yes, they did. But Derek failed the Raiders too. Ever since that injury happened in 2016, he just wasn't the same player. He wasn't. You can try to tell me the stats, the defense was bad, all that sort of stuff. Comes down to when he was out in the field, there was a lot of times where he looked overwhelmed in the pocket. He was skittish. He was afraid to extend a play. He'd throw it in the dirt. Hell, he threw it in the dirt on the fourth down. He threw it away on a fourth down before. He was mad at his receivers constantly. He showed them up on the field. There was a lot of negativity on the field pertaining to Derek Carr that I think a lot of people are glossing over. They're acting as though it was just a bad defense his whole career, and if it wasn't for that, he'd be a perennial AFC championship contender kind of guy. I'm just not seeing that. I think best move for him, now that he is released from the Raiders, is probably going to go to the NFC. I think we've been talking about Willard and Dibbs all week. Willard mentioning the amount of just lack of depth at the receiver position when it comes to the NFC. You look at Brock Purdy. Is he even a top 5 quarterback in the NFC if he was starting next year? Dak, Kirk, Jalen Hurts, probably the class as of now, and we'll see what Aaron Rodgers does in his, when is he in his retreat right now? Is he in the dark room? Is he sleeping? Is he awake? I don't know. So we'll see what Aaron does. That's the next domino to fall. But I think Derek would need to stay in the NFC because he has no chance in the AFC. Everyone's linking him to the New York Jets. Give me a break. Tell you this right now, the Jets aren't winning that division with Derek Carr as their quarterback. They're just not. Josh Allen, I'm taking Tua or whoever the quarterback is going to be in Miami next year. And I know that the Jets have a great defense, an elite defense. I do not believe that Derek Carr can elevate the players around him a la Patrick Mahomes, a Joe Burrow, a Josh Allen, a Justin Herbert, and hell, I'm even going to say Trevor Lawrence. And those are the guys you have to compete against in the AFC. So do I see Derek Carr beating any of those teams, even with a perfect and legit defense? No, I do not. I don't. If that makes me a hater, sorry. But I've seen this guy now for the last 9 years, quarterback my favorite team, and I can tell you right now, I'm not going to miss him. I'm not. And Jared Stidham might be awful next year, or they might get CJ Stroud, and he might be terrible, but they were not competing, and we just saw the Super Bowl. We just watched the guy who I proclaimed the number 3 greatest quarterback of all time, Patrick Mahomes, a guy that's going to be in the division for the seemingly at least the next decade, barring anything serious happening. You're not winning the division when he's the quarterback there, and your quarterback is Derek Carr. It's not happening. I could see the Chargers winning it. I could see Justin Herbert. They've been close. Absolutely, I could see that happening. Because he elevates others around him. He could scramble. He has the arm. And I'm not saying Derek doesn't have an arm. He doesn't have elite skill sets. He's quick. He's accurate. He does have an arm. But it's the extending plays. He couldn't do that anymore. You saw it before the injury in 2016, that MVP caliber season he was having. You saw it. But after that, he's looked skittish in the pocket. He did this thing where every time the pocket was coming into him, it was just breaking down a little bit. He would do this thing. If you're on Twitch and YouTube, you can see me now. He'd do this thing where he'd be like, he'd hold the ball in his hand. He'd like, back up. And he did that a lot. And then when he would scramble to the left or right, you knew he wasn't running. He never used his legs after that. And in today's game, you saw it with Patrick Mahomes. That was, hell, that kind of iced the game, if you will. You had that huge run towards the end there on one bum leg. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence. All these guys that are elite in the game, they could do both. And that's what the game is moving towards. So, and listen, I know the Raiders, they're linked to Aaron Rodgers, but he would probably be fine in the Raiders offense because they have elite dynamic weaponry. But if you're looking at the future of the league, you just saw it in the Super Bowl. It's Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. And if you don't have the mobility factor, and if you're not guys named Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. And we saw a guy here in the Bay Area, Brock Purdy, who had just enough mobility and was just quick enough to evade the linebackers, the corners of opposing teams, the defensive ends. That's the mobility and speed you need to be able to adjust and make plays on the fly. And Brock, he doesn't have the physical skill sets that a Derek Carr has, but he has the ability to sneak around, to extend the play, keep going. Or Derek just, whether it was the Raiders or wasn't, whether it was a mental block or not, it just seemed like he does not have the capability of extending the big play anymore. And that was ultimately his detriment in his falling out with Josh McDaniels in this Raiders organization this season. I just needed to talk about that. I need to get that off my chest real quick. Felt like there was this huge revisionist history as far as Derek Carr and the Raiders and how he can be this great and amazing quarterback if he just had a defense. Well, you're not always going to have a defense. Offense is the way of the league. You need to score points. And they had a prove-it year with them. Devontae Adams. I know Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow were hurt for most of the year, but you had an all-pro first-team wide receiver and a first-team all-pro running back. And a pretty decent offensive line. Wasn't great. Wasn't very good. I'd say decent. And you couldn't do anything. You couldn't make the playoffs. You couldn't overcome. You couldn't score. You got shut out. I'm sorry. In today's league, you cannot get shut out. Whether you want to blame the head coach or not, ultimately falls on the quarterback too. Getting shut out in New Orleans against Dennis Allen this year, the guy that was your rookie head coach, that was embarrassing. So, just need to get that off my chest real quick as we take one more break. And we got the cross-jover coming up next. I'm not sure it'll be Joe Shasky or Alan Stiles. I'll ask both of them next. One of those boys will join me on the other side, do a little crosstalk here. Again, Warriors, they fall to the Los Angeles Clippers, 134-124. They move to 29-29 on the season, heading into the All-Star break. So I'm sure we'll discuss that. Lack of defense, all that sort of stuff next. This is the pregame show. Joe Spadoni, come on back, 95.7 The Game.
Attention men, if you have ED, PE, or low libido, or if you're always tired, weak, and gaining weight, you could be suffering from low testosterone, a common condition in men over 40. Balanced Medical Solutions has helped thousands of men regain their vigor, stamina, and strength. Restore your performance in the gym and in the bedroom now. Receive a medical evaluation with blood tests and free follow-ups for only $99. Getting old is not a choice, but feeling old is. Call now, 510-679-3300, or visit balancedmedicalsolutions.com.
The Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xE. It's electrified. Boogie, woogie, woogie. So you can boogie, woogie, woogie into the forest. Boogie. Boogie, woogie, woogie through the mud. Or boogie, woogie, woogie to work, where you boogie, woogie, woogie down the hall to your boss's office to tell him you quit. Sure got the boogie. Then you boogie, woogie, woogie to the elevator as he boogie, woogie, woogies after you, begging, please, take me with you. Boogie. The electrified Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xE. Learn more at Jeep.com. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
Easy Cater presents We've Got Your Back, Upstairs.
Backing you up.
So I ordered Mexican for my team at work.
With vegetarian options for Jerry.
Then I'm in a meeting and I remember Jerry's vegan.
Love the cheese.
So I text Easy Cater and they reply, no prob, we got this.
Gonna fix it for you.
Sometimes I get vegetarian and vegan confused. kind of like Austria and Australia.
Geography is not your strong suit.
Dietary needs? EasyCater has your back with over 100,000 restaurants. Order 24/7 on EasyCater.com and know.
We got your back.
Welcome to the IKEA Sleep Sale.
IKEA Sleep Sale.
Save on all things bedroom, including select bed frames, duvet covers, air purifiers.
And those fuzzy sheepskin rugs.
Yes, and so much more.
Cozy. I'll take one of each.
Hurry in to visit your local IKEA store or go to IKEA-USA.com before the sale goes night-night. Offer valid 2/15 to 2/26. U.S. only while supplies last. Selection may vary by store and online. See store and IKEA-USA.com for complete terms. Restrictions apply.
Investing is confusing. Dawn raids, triple witching hour, candlesticks, crown jewels, bears, bulls, bear hugs, blue chips. It's one big word salad of uncertainty. Fortunately, Fremont Bank now has incredible rates on their savings accounts and CDs. And while savings accounts and CDs may not be known for their great rates at your current bank, at Fremont Bank, you can get great rates from a great local bank. To learn more, stop in or visit us online. We'll explain it all in plain language. Fremont Bank, serving the Bay Area since 1964. Member FDIC.
The other day, I bought a cockatoo. Hello! He's a handful, but I'll manage. Just like I manage without home internet. Sure, my mobile hotspot is slow and makes streaming shows unbearable, but I'm making do. Oh no, who's this?
It's mating season, Dad.
No home internet? It's not that bad.
Don't settle. Get Xfinity Home Internet for just $19.99 a month for 1 year with a free streaming box. Call, click, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. After 12 months, regular rates apply. Offer ends 2/21/23.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Need weekend plans? Check out what's happening at your local Lowe's. Weekending at Lowe's gives you and your family the opportunity to make us your weekend destination. Join us in-store for free giveaways, events, and activities for everyone to enjoy. This month, stop by for fun events like our 2-day Super Bowl prep party and our Valentine's-themed kids workshop. Visit Lowe's.com/events for this month's full lineup. Count on Lowe's for all your home improvement needs. And now, activities in your community with Weekending at Lowe's.
You can watch Willard and Dibs on Twitch.tv and on YouTube.
I miss Gabe.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Yeah.
Soon.
Here he comes.
Hand taps and all.
Pitchers and catchers report. And we do have new rules this year. And we, as an organization, will follow them.
This is the Bay Area's sports station.
Dan Dibley here. Squirt.
95.7 The Game. Now, back to the pregame show on 95.7 The Game.
Welcome back, pregame show. Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game. Getting a lot of feedback from my Derek Carr take there. Derek Carr released from the Raiders. He is now free to sign with whatever team he wants to. Saints linked, Jets maybe. We shall see, but Buccaneers. There's the whole NFC South that kind of needs one. Getting a lot of flack on the Xfinity mobile text line there. Listen, to say that it was all the Raiders organization fault and that they failed Derek Carr, I think is just missing two sides of a coin, if you will. From the 510, Xfinity mobile text line. DC never played with the top 25 defense the whole time he was with the Raiders. Put Derek Carr with Shanahan with that Niners defense and watch the Niners go to the Bowl next season. Guarantee you, I would much rather have Brock Purdy than I would Derek Carr. Not even close. And I'd much rather see what I have Trey Lance than what I have with Derek Carr. And I think Shanahan and Lynch would agree with that. Absolutely. 510, the Raiders' offensive line was terrible this year. Defense was horrible, and coaching on both sides was terrible, but that's DC's fault. No, you had Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, and you lost to Kenny Pickett, and you scored not even 20 points in that game. That's the problem. You got shut out in New Orleans, 510. That's a problem. In today's NFL, you can't score a single point when you have Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. I don't care how bad the offensive line is. You think that's going to stop Patrick Mahomes? That's going to stop Jalen Hurts from scoring? Please. Please. I'm tired of the excuse making for this guy. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Were the Raiders a perfect organization? No, far from it. He had to deal with a lot of crap. I understand that, and I applaud him for doing it in a nice way. He's a very nice guy, and I think it's hard for a lot of people to kind of crush him. But at the same time, he's not winning you anything in that division. Look who you're going up against. Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert. I don't care how good of the defense you have. Push comes to shove. You know the guy who's going to have the ball at the end? And most of those games, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. You know what's going to happen? He's going to get it done. Juxtapose out Derek Carr. There's a lot of times where he had the ball in his hands with a chance, and he had a lot of game-winning drives. He also had a lot of duds. The only playoff game he ever played in, he threw short of the end zone against Cincinnati. That ball to Zay Jones or whoever it was, Darren Waller, he wasn't even going to be able to score. That was on 4th down with the game on the line and the season on the line in the freaking playoffs. And it might be the only playoff game he ever plays in his career. So, miss me with all what the Raiders did not do for Derek. What did Derek do for the Raiders after 2016? Diddly poo. Stop. Takes two to tango. Raiders weren't a great organization for him, but Derek Carr, ultimately, towards the end there, was just not a great quarterback, not a good enough quarterback. As a other Raider fan from this station joins me here, and Alan Stiles, and I'm sure he could speak to that if he wants to. Alan, I was just going in because Damon and Ratto were talking about it yesterday, and I found it interesting. Derek Carr released from the Raiders, his whole tenure there. And listen, I think it's easy for a lot of people to say, oh, the Raiders, they did horrible by him. 6 head coaches, never had a defense. The organization moved. John Gruden, Henry Ruggs, all that sort of stuff. He's just, what an exemplary quarterback. Great. He did a lot of good things on the field.
Yes.
But his shortcomings, I think, were enhanced dramatically this season and what he is as a quarterback.
There's no doubt that Derek Carr was not in a great position most of the time, right? He was with the Raiders. That's just a fact. I don't believe he's ever had anything better than a top 20 defense. We already know about the drama. We get all that. That's why, to me, it was as much as it was about Derek Carr, it was about the Raiders. And to me, it's just always been an even split in terms of, hey, it's just not working. I understand, Derek, that you haven't been in a good spot. We're trying to move forward. Unfortunately, in a way, to me, he was almost like collateral damage, yes. Right? Like I understand, but it's easier to be collateral damage when you also don't have any accolades or highlights to fall back on. You know, if he had granted the situation, if he had 2 or 3 playoff wins, maybe they say, hey, we got to follow through with this guy. But it doesn't matter how you slice it. Not having a playoff win in however long Derek Carr was with the Raiders, at some point, we're going to have to look at you, even if we have to look at ourselves too. Hey, we messed up, but you're also not doing things. You're not exciting the fan base in a way that, can move us forward. And I think the last thing was just this past season. You had opportunities and you just couldn't get it done. We as a team didn't get it done, but you're the quarterback. Yes. Let's just move on.
Yes, you also had a first-team All-Pro wide receiver in Devontae Adams, a first-team All-Pro in Josh Jacobs. So you had 2 of the arguably greatest offensive players in the league, and I just go to games. New Orleans, you get shut out. That was an embarrassing performance there last year.
They had some laughers.
They had some
you lost. You cannot. It's specific. You cannot lose. Like you said, you got shut out in this iteration of the NFL.
Can't happen.
And then you lose to the Colts, who
Jeff Saturday, his only win as the Colts now hire.
And you got Matt
Steichen.
Ryan running around like he's Lamar Jackson. Now that's not on Derek Carr, but you just can't find yourself in these situations over and over again.
No, you can't. And then I just go back. The one that really just culminated everything was the cold weather game and his career in cold weather. And it was in Pittsburgh on the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Deception, as I call it. And they were honoring Franco Harris, RIP. It was unfortunately passed away a couple days before that game. But that game, Kenny Pickett outdueled you. Your defense was playing so well that whole game. And Kenny freaking Pickett went down the field, scored, and then Derek Carr, who put up only, 10 points, I think, that whole game?
Yeah.
10 points? Steelers aren't great. They were not very good last year. And you had 10 points, and it goes back to the cold weather and this and that. And listen, maybe he succeeds in the NFC, where there's domes, where the quarterback competition isn't as good. But in the AFC, if you are Josh McDaniels, and if you are Ziegler and that whole front office, and you are looking at the competition, you are looking at Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Where did all of they play? Cold weather. Sorry. And are you beating any of those guys? Do you feel confident in Derek Carr beating any of those guys in a shootout?
No. He had, literally his career, this is no knock on Derek Carr. You have to go to the NFC.
Yes.
I saw one thing about going to the Jets. Why?
Yeah.
Why would
He's
you
not
do
winning that
yourself?
division. I don't care how good that defense is.
Well, and, to give Derek Carr some due here, the NFC is weak. He would be a better, his talents would go further in the NFC. To me, looking at Derek Carr and I'm going to take it to my college roots. So Temple University, you have a bunch of mid-majors, right? In college. Temple University is a mid-major. So when I compare how Temple's doing, I don't compare them to SEC schools or even Pac-12 schools or Big Ten. I compare them to other mid-majors and see how well they're doing. So to me, Houston is a great example of, I guess, as close to Temple as a mid-major could be, right? Houston is a very well-run mid-major. They're number 2 right now when it comes to NCAA basketball. They've had a couple stints in the New Year's Six with the playoffs. So that is the best version of a mid-major. Derek Carr, if he is a mid-major QB, is not even the best version of a mid-major QB. Because I would say that's probably Kirk Cousins.
Yes.
It's Kirk Cousins, and I know Jimmy Garoppolo. We'll talk a little bit about what if Jimmy Garoppolo if Derek Carr had the Niners roster. I don't know. All I know is the team that Derek Carr played on, and going back to Kirk Cousins, if there are a bunch of mid-major QBs, Derek Carr, unfortunately, if he's at the top of that list talent-wise, he didn't show it enough in games for us to continue to just give him this break about it.
Yes, and from the YouTube chat, PB, so now you're comparing him to Mahomes and Hurts. LOL, man, you Raider fans or something else. You're comparing him to Mahomes only because he's in your division.
Right.
Like, that's the best. And that's every quarterback should be comparing themselves to the best of the best. Your franchise, you should be comparing yourselves to the Kansas City Chiefs, to the Eagles who are just in it. That's what you want to be. Of course, you're not going to be Patrick Mahomes. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We get all of that. But in order to win the division, you at least have to have a guy on Justin Herbert's level.
And that's my argument. Okay, you just compared him to a bunch of elite guys. Yeah. You know what happened in order for these teams to get these elite guys? They moved off of their mid QBs that they had.
Yes.
Andy Dalton got moved off of.
Alex Smith
got moved off of. So we're not comparing, but if you don't want to compare, what are we talking about? Is third place just chill?
Yeah, and that's what the Niners are doing. They realized that Jimmy Garoppolo, the limitations there, they went to Trey Lance. And then they saw, wow, something with Brock Purdy, the mobility factor with Brock. He can extend plays. He's got moxie. He can move around a little bit. So, yeah, I need to get my thoughts out there, Alan. I know you're a Raider fan, too, so I just want to talk about that. Real quick, Alan Stiles, who's going to be in with Joe Shasky, by the way, the morning roast. Bonte Hill is out. Have a nice vacay, Bonte there. Hardest working man in media, the king of media, some might say, Bonte Hill. So, the Golden State Warriors. Andrew Wiggins being out personal reasons, that made it a tough game. That made it a game where it's like, okay, maybe you can look good. And they looked good. They had a lead at halftime. It's like, okay, maybe they could hang around this. Then the third quarter happened. They got smoked. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Norman Powell, all that. The defense is just not going to get better with Gary Payton. Like, I'm sorry. Like, whenever he comes back, even if he comes back, like, I don't even know if he is. Like, there is just not when it comes to defense anyways, a switch to be flipped. And Draymond Green talked about that after the game, Alan. Where are you at with this Warriors team heading into All-Star break? Can they do anything? Can they find something out of this break, whether that's Stephen Curry coming back, anything that gives you hope that they could be a legit title contender down the stretch?
we know how much it means in the NBA, specifically the playoffs, to win. And it takes defense. And right now, the Warriors don't have that defense. And I don't know that it's something that's just going to arrive in the mail like an Amazon package. So you can give more effort. I know back in CYO, they would say defense is effort. I don't know that it is in the NBA. I do think you have to have certain types of athleticism that's going to help, right? And we're going to get into Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole, Steph Curry, just a collection of guys who offensively can fill it up. But if you can't stop anybody on the other end, you're asking Draymond to do a lot. You have to sacrifice somewhere. And I think last season they may have sacrificed at times offensively because, and Draymond offensively has been ridiculous this season. He's been much better. But I don't know that they have a balanced enough rotation to where at some point, if you want to go full-blown defense, you're still going to have enough offense to hang around, and vice versa. If you want to go, hey, the Fast Five or whatever the heck we were calling them last season, right now that Fast Five is, just literally playing a pickup game where there's just no stops. First 1 to 21 wins.
Shout out Xfinity Fast Five, which will be on the Morning Roast next. That's Alan Stiles will be joining Joe Shasky. Be sure to tune into that coming up next. This was the pregame show with Joe Spadoni, 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco.